Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Are these reports getting harder to read, or is it just me? It's like trying to decode ancient hieroglyphs sometimes, but don't worry, today we will unravel another corporate mystery for you. Today we are diving into the semi-annual report of iShares Trust, with a focus on their iBonds ETFs. Now, while ETFs can definitely sound like alphabet soup, this report gives some hints to what the overall economics picture may look like soon, so stick with me if you appreciate getting straight insights from these often cryptic corporate documents. Make sure you are subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below. Come join us. First, it is important to note what exactly iShares Trust is. It is essentially an investment company, which is kind of like a holding company, except it primarily holds only investment products. It is comprised of multiple smaller funds called ETFs. An ETF is like a basket stocks, bonds, or other assets which aims to track a specific index. You can buy and sell shares in an ETF just like you would shares in a regular company. So this report essentially gives us hints as to how these investment funds and baskets are doing. The report actually is multiple separate reports on different ETFs. For each of these, the overall structure is pretty similar. The report starts with which is essentially where the money is invested. It is a full list on what the EFT has. TAFTA, for example, the iShares iBonds 1-5-year corporate ladder ETF has invested a whopping $1,700.725 term corporate ETF and $1,500 2026 term of Torford ETF. In the end, the total long-term investments come out to $9,053,096. Next, we see where the short-term investments are going. The vast majority of them seem to be going to BlackRock cash funds, about $1,111,064 worth of it. Short-term securities are investments that are expected to be converted into cash within a year. They're used for liquidity and to generate income while waiting for better investment opportunities. Money market funds are a type of short-term security that invests in very safe, liquid debt instruments. Think of them like a super safe savings account. The annualized 7-day yield as of the end of the reporting period came out to about 4.46%, which is actually pretty good. We can also see some shares going to Treasury at 4.30%. Next, this report details the total investments, which came out to about $10,173,962. Now, that might seem like a lot of investments, but there are also liabilities, or rather debts, adding up to about $27,111,000 If you subtract those from the investments, you get the total net assets equaling out to $9,062,073. The company after all debts have been paid. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The report then breaks down the investments in affiliated issuers. Basically, this shows you what the company owns in itself or related buddies, canned with the iShares E being cashed in on, so this is just the market value that could theoretically change at any day in total, and 17 under $1 depreciation. The value comes out to $1,791 depreciation. The value comes out to 1,797 and $1,000 depreciation. The value comes out to $1,791,797,407. Not appreciating in value over time, meaning that the market values these debt instruments or bonds at ever higher levels. Next up is the Statements of Assets and Liabilities section, which provides a snapshot of what the company possesses and owes at a specific point in time. On the asset side, we can see investments at value affiliating up to the same number as before. Then there are the liabilities. One particularly notable item here is the collateral on securities loaned, which amounts to 1,000, what this refers to as securities lending. Many funds like iShares loan out their securities to other firms, often brokerages who need them for various reasons like covering short positions. In exchange, the fund receives collateral which can be cash, government bonds, or letters of credit. Think of it as a pawn shop transaction. The pawn shop art fund in this case gives you a loan, securities, and you give them something of value, collateral, as a guarantee. Moving on, let's talk about the statements of operations, which shows how profitable the company was over a specific period, breaking down income and expenses. For the iShares iBonds 1 5-year corporate ladder ETF, the report has dividends affiliated equaling to $93,555, interest unaffiliated equaling to $93,585,680 declo, interest unaffiliated equaling to $93,501. The total investment income comes out to $95, interest unaffiliated equaling to $1,001. The total investment income comes out to $95, interest unaffiliated equaling to $93,685 and $685. Interest unaffiliated equaling to $93,685. Interest unaffiliated equaling to 1 securities lending income affiliated net equaling 21,000 unaffiliated net equaling 1,095. All the expenses comes out to $7 channel reads. So after deducting the expenses from the total investment income, we arrive at the net investment income to $95,618. When you add in net realized and unrealized gains, losses from the securities and investments, which comes out to a positive $77,008 and $73 positive $7, you hit a net increase in net assets as a result of operations to $173 and $557. That means this company is growing. Next, the statements of changes in net assets breaks down the exact numerical changes that happen to net assets, which is the total assets minus liabilities. At this period, they show a decrease in net assets resulting from distributions to shareholders costing SIM $94,817, $1,000 in next net increase in net assets derived from capital share transactions added up to $8,009, $84,117 in net assets derived from capital share transactions added up to $8,900. 81.17 3 friends 1 falls into 30 174 fine 133.17. ADI has been a very good period all throughout, where it has been increasing in all corners. Okay, it's time for the financial highlights. Fluff, beginning of the period was $25 out, and at the end of the period was $25.2017, and at the end of the period, net asset value was $25.2017. And at the end of the period, net asset value was $25.17 at their total expenses, which are a percentage of net assets, comes out to 0.00. Sidebar portfolio rate is at Barge portfolio rate is at 0 tapped. The overall summary is that the return on each EFT appears to be slow paced but positive. Now let's talk a bit behind the scenes of iShares financials and all companies really. There's the investment advisory agreement with BlackRock fund advisors. So under the agreement, BFA manages the company's assets and also shoulders responsibility for the bills, except for like those taxes, commissions, distribution fees, and of course BFA's own advisory fee. BFA makes money based on their average daily net assets in percentage mode. So basically the more assets they manage, the more zeros make it into BFA's bank account. So in simple terms, it's like if you hired a company to be a property manager of your real estate property. Finally, management has evaluated the company all throughout 2025 and determined if there were any reasons, events, or activities that need to be further disclosed. They stated there were none and that the company is running as expected. To now stepping back, here's what I make of shares based on this semi-annual peek behind the curtain. So iShares' strength appears to be its overall stability. Its broad diversification and passive management style seem to be paying off with predictable, if unspectacular, returns. That's the flip side of strength. The growth potential may be a bit limited. These iBond ETFs probably won't give you big gains quickly. The expense ratio being lower than most comparable ETFs is a great thing, suggesting they're very efficient. They face the same risks as everyone else, including inflation, so being safe remains their best strategy. In conclusion, iShares is not really taking that many active steps to make big changes, so expect relative continuity and overall slow growth with low expense profile. Alright, that's our breakdown of iShares' latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.